All right. We go in three, two, one. Back at it here on the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. So glad to have you along. Hopefully, you stalk our podcast. Inside joke. Inside joke. Instead of follow, you can just stalk our podcast.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
Brad Lowers, Isaiah Freeman, Keaton Homer, along with you. I don't
Wow.
know. I mean, there's fans out there. I know we're
That's
popular overseas. I mean,
you're not wrong.
this is
You're
a
not
big deal.
wrong. You're
Big
not
deal here.
wrong.
Yeah. So, anyway, recapping some stuff that's happened over the past week. Preview of the Anchorage Wolverines playoff series coming up against the Minnesota Wilderness. UAA has a new head volleyball coach, kind of an old face, but a new face, I guess you could kind of say. And then also high school sports, spring sports, baseball is starting as well. So we'll preview a little bit of that. But yeah, I mean, how have things been? I missed last week. Like
Yeah. Well, you had stuff going on. You had all sorts of
coaches
stuff
meeting.
going on.
Yeah, yeah,
Coaches meeting,
yep. We had to
practices.
we had to set up our mini camp that's coming up for this
Ah.
Saturday night. So we're trying to get that all organized, and get mini camp going. It's tough to do a spring mini camp.
Oh,
When you got track and field going, you got baseball going, you got all these other sports that are going. I'm like, okay, well, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna see how it's gonna go. So we got to get stuff going.
Hey,
End of July
Keaton.
is coming around fast. Brad.
So somehow Isaiah was able to track down some Wolverine interviews. So it's good to have that last week. And um, coach and Cole, the captain, they were both really articulate, provide a lot of information, which I thought, normally stuff we would get from Isaiah, but we really have to try and pin down Isaiah on a lot of things. But it was great to visit with them heading into the playoffs, and Isaiah will give us an update there. But certainly, people will continue to check in with because they just, unlike us, they have a face made for streaming.
you're not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Anchorage Wolverines, we know the playoff opponents.
Yep.
The Minnesota Wilderness, obviously a tough draw, but the Wolverines, they've been hot lately, ending the last week and a half, 2 weeks of the season. What did they win? Like six of their last nine, seven of their last nine games, or something like
Yep.
that, to wrap up the regular season. So the Wolverines, the number 4 seed, going into the playoffs as they take on the number 1 seed Minnesota Wilderness. And Wolverines kind of struggled during the regular season, if I remember right, against Minnesota. I think they were 5-1-1, if memory serves right.
Yeah, they started the season off. They played Minnesota 5 times in the first 11 games, and it was the Wolverines were 2-9. And the Wilderness is a team that's played together a long time. They had a lot of returners. The Wolverines didn't have a lot of returners. I think Minnesota had 13 to 16, and I think the Wolverines had 5 or 6. So they had a head start on a lot of teams. It wasn't just the Wolverines. It was a lot of teams in the league. And they've been steadily in the top 10 this whole season. But that being said, Wolverines and Minnesota split later in the year. I think it was in late January, early February. So down in Minnesota. So they jumped out to a big lead, obviously point wise. So they were the number one. But Wolverines finished fourth, and it was just kind of Fairbanks finished second with 72 points. Wisconsin Wendigo finished with 71, and Anchorage finished with 70 points. So it was a real tight race. So here's what it looks like for the Midwest Division playoffs. It'll be the Wendigo at Fairbanks this weekend, Friday the 17th and 8th, and Saturday the 18th. Anchorage will be on the road in Minnesota Friday and Saturday at 4:15 Alaska time, and the Wolverines will announce a watch party here tomorrow. Now, this is where it gets a little different than it is in, let's say, the NHL or some of these other leagues or the NCAA. Here's how the playoff works. Because the teams travel and they try and save money, this is how it ends up going. So after the first 2 games on Friday and Saturday this weekend, If Minnesota wins both games on Friday and Saturday, there will be a home game the next three, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 24th, 25th, 26th, in Anchorage. Now it's a best of five. So there would be at least one game on Friday, the 24th, if Minnesota wins both games down there. Now, if Anchorage wins both games, let me pull that up. If Anchorage wins both games, there will be one more game down in Minnesota on Sunday, the 19th. So then, if Anchorage were to win that one and sweep the Minnesota Wilderness, there would not be a home game for this first round of the playoffs. If Anchorage wins both on Friday and Saturday and Minnesota wins on Sunday, there would be Friday, Saturday in Anchorage, that 24th and 25th. If is a split, there will be a game on Sunday the 19th in Minnesota, and then Friday, Saturday next week would be up in Anchorage. Now, all these scenarios are on the Anchorage Wolverines Instagram and Facebook pages. It's a little different. It's a little harder to say, first two there, next two at home, and then game 5 in Minnesota. These tickets, I can tell you when I'm not going to tell you what the dollar amounts are on some of these tickets, but they are pricey to get down to Minnesota and play. So they're trying to do some cost saving things. That's why there's a few different scenarios on that. So we're not guaranteed a home game in this round, but if we don't get a home game in this round, that means we swept the Wilderness. So we would move on to the next round. So that would be good news. But that's what it looks like right now. That's the playoff schedule.
So the earliest possibility of the Wolverines hosting a game is the 24th.
Correct. That is the earliest possibility.
So if fans wanted to kind of circle that date and just kind of maybe keep an eye out of what's happening in the series, that's the earliest possible date that
and
they could host.
We'll know on Saturday night. After the game on Saturday night, we'll know if we're hosting a game or we could potentially host a game. We'll know that on the end of Saturday night. So again, on Wolverine social media, you'll be able to find all those scenarios on Instagram and Facebook.
Are you traveling down to Minnesota?
I am not. We have a few other people that are traveling down, but I am not. I'm staying up here, kind of doing some of the watch parties and things like that. So, but we will have some staff down there.
Nice.
Isaiah, I got a question for you.
Okay.
So you gave a lot of possibilities. We as Wolverine fans out here, what should we hope for? What is the best of those scenarios?
Well, I mean, it kind of depends on which lens you're looking through on this. A sweep would be great, obviously, because it's a fewer games to play. And we would sweep at home. That builds a lot of confidence going into the next round of the playoffs. The downside of that is obviously you don't get a home game. But the upside of that, too, is you might not get a home game, but at least you're not flying the whole team, both teams, all the way back to Anchorage for maybe one or two games and then back and forth. So, again, for us, from the standpoint of the Wolverines, we just want to win the series, whatever that is. Just win the series. And we'll worry where the things fall after that. I think Fairbanks has a good shot of beating the Wendigo. And if that's the case, the Wolverines can take care of business and Fairbanks takes care of business. The Midwest Division Finals are Fairbanks and Anchorage. I mean, that's just going to be incredible. So, but to get there, we've got to go through the Wilderness, which has been a very dominant team this year. So ideally we'd like to sweep, obviously, but that's a tall order. That really is a tall order.
Isaiah, did you just say this? Did you say you would have to go through the Wilderness?
We'll have to go through the Wilderness.
That should be a T-shirt.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's I like that.
See?
And we could have the Wolverine could be standing there with a compass to get through the woods.
Hey,
T-shirt idea, man. There we go. I'll tell you what, if the Wolverines can get through this first round and we play Fairbanks, that rivalry shirt that the Wolverines we created in January, we'll probably have to bring that back.
Bust it back out, yeah.
Yeah, bust that thing back out. Make a couple runs of that shirt and bring it back.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, do like a limited run, drive up
Yeah.
some interest. I like it.
Absolutely.
That's
We did a
a good
limited
idea.
run that last time and they sold out. So
Yeah.
we'll do it again. Playoffs.
Yeah. Playoffs.
Got to get through the
Playoffs?
wilderness first. Get through the wilderness first.
Well, historically, the Wolverines have played fairly well against Minnesota Wilderness. At least recently, they've met
Yep.
3 times in the playoffs, and the Wolverines defeated Minnesota back in 2024 in 4 games, 3-1 in that series. So that's the most recent playoff meeting. So we'll see how things pan out, this go
Yep.
around. And
Absolutely.
obviously it's a tough first round draw, but at some point in time, you're going to have to go through it, right?
Yep. Absolutely. You're going to have to play them at some point to get to the Robbie Cup.
Yep.
So get them
So might
in
as
right now. Get it done with now.
There you go. So the playoff series will start this week, and then potentially, depending on how things get sorted out and whatnot, what happens, the Wolverines could host a game on the 24th, in a couple Fridays from now. So,
Correct.
again, follow AnchorageWolverines.com. Stay up to date. Stay up to date on the social media, as well as the Wolverines go on the road to open up the playoffs. So. Speaking of hockey, I want to throw this note out there as well. Former Anchorage resident, David Karl, the head coach of the Denver
Mm-hmm.
Pioneers
Yeah.
hockey team, leading his Pioneers to another national championship. It's the second national championship under David Karl. Obviously, he was a big name here that a lot of people follow. I mean, his brother Matt, an NHL player as well, Matt Karl. He's doing his thing on the coaching side, that's for sure. It's been impressive and a fun thing to watch him do at Denver. He's getting a lot of run now for NHL jobs, so we'll
I
see
believe it.
if he elects to take an NHL job this go around after winning his second national championship. I wanted to make mention of that accomplishment for David Karl there with the Denver Pioneers. So pretty impressive what he's done in a short period of time there at Denver.
Yeah, hard to
Absolutely.
do more than he's done. I'm curious though, Keaton, how many make that jump? Like some sports, not as easy to make that jump, but maybe hockey a little more often to go from college to the pros.
That's a good question. I don't think there's. I'm trying to think of the last guy that went from the college directly to the pros. It seems like in the NHL, there's a lot of movement within the NHL itself. A lot of hiring
Yeah.
of assistant coaches, a lot of former head coaches getting jobs. It just happened with the New York Islanders after they let go of Patrick Waugh as well. Former Dallas Stars coach from last year. Can't think of his name at the top of my head at the moment. He was an assistant there with the Islanders. He now is the head coach there in New York. So I don't think it happens too often. So if it does happen for David Karl, I think that would be a pretty rare feat to go to the college to the pros, and especially in the short period of time that he's been a head coach with Denver. So
Yeah.
uh, it would
How
be
about
cool.
how about this name? And I don't know myself, but I'm just thinking Herb Brooks' name pops up. Just
That's
after
some big shoes.
after the
Yeah.
miracle on ice, I thought he maybe got a shot. But I don't
Um,
follow hockey as closely as you do.
I don't think Herb. I don't know if Herb Brooks coached in the NHL.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Wouldn't surprise me if he did
Uh,
after that. After
no, he
that.
did. No, he did, and he did coach in the NHL. Most successful stint was with the New York Rangers in the early '80s. Coached for a season with the Minnesota North Stars. 2 years with the New Jersey Devils, and then he served as a partial head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins for a partial season. So he did coach for in the NHL. But his most famous stuff was obviously with the national team, but then also head coach of the University of Minnesota, the Golden Gophers hockey team. So, but yeah, he had a fairly successful head coaching record. What's it say here? He's about 500. So, I mean, wasn't great, wasn't horrible, but yeah. Obviously, I think a lot of people think of Herb Brooks as, you know, just the national head coach, the USA
Yep.
Good,
national team. So,
good movie.
fantastic movie. Great
Love
movie.
it.
Yeah. Great speech. Probably the best, one of the best, if not the best sports speeches prior to going into a game, you know. That one's up there. Win one for the Gipper,
Yep.
New
Yeah.
Rockney. That's got to be in there as well. But
Classics.
uh, classics, classic stuff. So that kind of well, did we make mention? I was tuning into the podcast trying to listen to some of it from last week. Did we make mention of the UAA parting ways with their head hockey coach last week?
We did
Okay.
mention it because it just happened that day, earlier in the day.
Yeah, so Matt Shasby stepping aside, kind of it seemed like a mutual parting
Hmm.
between the athletic administration and Coach Shasby himself, who was there for 5 years after the program had been dormant for a couple of seasons. A rough year this year. I think they only ended up winning 6 games during the course of the regular season. Obviously, they dropped uh, numerous games, tough ones to their rivals UAF, as UAF won the Governor's Cup yet again this year. And so the Seawolf men's hockey team looking for a new bench boss at the moment. Aaron McFeeters is the interim head coach there right now. So we'll have to see who kind of maybe steps up or if they end up taking Aaron McFeeters and he becomes the head coach. Remove the interim label. So we'll have to see
Yeah. One
with
of the
that.
toughest places to coach or situations to coach. Formerly, a lot of success at the D2 level, and really you know, just one of the most improbable tasks out there that just have all the odds stacked against you.
This is by far the hardest
Hmm.
Division I coaching job in hockey. I don't think there's a more difficult task in men's college hockey, um, especially right now. I mean,
No.
UAA doesn't have the facilities that many other universities have. You look at some of these universities that are bringing on hockey or brought on hockey lately, Arizona State, and the millions of dollars they have funneled into that program. Long Island University, who is now investing over, I think, $3 million into building a new facility or expanding their facility and investing in their hockey program. Obviously, the Anchorage Wolverines, they have a young guy that's going, a couple of players
Couple.
going
Yeah.
to Long Island University. So for the UAA hockey program, I think to be successful in terms of wins and losses, if we want to take it to that far, we got to have an upgrade in facilities. It
Yeah.
just has to happen. Like we cannot compete with the Denvers, with anybody out of the Big Ten
No.
on the ice, just because they have the facilities and they have the those amenities to recruit guys and get them from the state of Alaska or wherever it might be. But UAA has to find a way if they want to keep this hockey program around to invest in it and invest in facilities to keep not just players here in Alaska, but get players from outside to come up here. So it'll be interesting. It's a tough place to sell. Don't get me wrong. It is a tough place to sell.
100%.
So
100%.
um, whoever ends up landing the job, um, gonna have the work cut out for him. I'm sure that person knows it. So it's gonna take a tough person to fill those shoes and take over that position. But that's another coaching spot that we'll be keeping our eye on. Speaking of coaching moves, UAA volleyball announcing earlier today on Monday the uh, official new head coach Morgan Ho, who's been a assistant volleyball coach for the last few seasons with UAA, former head coach of the Service Cougars for a handful of years before becoming an assistant with the Seawolves. But now she is I believe, the eighth head coach in program history for the UAA Seawolf volleyball program, replacing Stacy Meisner. And Morgan today, very grateful for the opportunity to, get the job at UAA. Obviously, very familiar with the program, having played there. Fantastic player for the Seawolves in the 2016, 2017 time frame. I think she was all conference a couple of times during her career as well. So a transition period here for the Seawolf volleyball program for sure. And it'll be interesting to follow the offseason and kind of things that are happening. Seawolves have a couple of commits from in-state already, uh, down from Kenai on Alaska. A couple of ladies already committing, and so assuming they're going to stay and play for the Seawolves. But I guess you could kind of see the writing on the wall with Morgan being named the acting head coach after Stacy was placed on leave at the beginning of the year in January, and it felt like just a natural transition, Brad.
Yeah, I think so. And you use the term hit the ground running, and it applies here more than any other. She's been doing the job that a head coach would normally do. And Keaton, I've watched some UAA college volleyball, and you certainly watched more than me. But if you watched Morgan over there in the bench area, she was as active as a assistant coach could be. I mean, she would be off the bench and directing things, and not to take anything away from the head coach, but as involved as an assistant coach can be, that was certainly Morgan. You mentioned some of her history, coaching service. I can't think of anybody that's more connected at UAA, volunteer assistant, full-time assistant, going into her head coaching year. As a player, I think they won 3 conference championships. Just watching her play, it's just something else. You watch a match and you'll go away thinking there's my favorite player, because as a setter, she's just all over the place. I think too she has that pedigree of Virgil Ho, which is one of the most, if not the most well known, already inducted into Hall of Fame, founder of Midnight Sun
Yep.
volleyball, as I can recall. And Morgan's kind of picked up the baton there, and she runs that, which, I mean, no one's been more connected with UAA volleyball, and even I'd say volleyball in general, than Morgan. And I think, I don't know, Keaton, you and I were keeping an eye, and as were others, on the basketball and the things, and there were other names that popped up and other considerations, but I never really heard that on this end.
No.
And Morgan just seemed the natural choice.
Yeah, and I think it was the clear cut. I mean, not saying that she was the favorite, but I think after the interview process and everything like that, that it just made sense as a natural fit for everything that was happening. You already had somebody here as an assistant for the last 3 years, helping out the program. It just felt like a natural, easy, I say easy, just a transition point. And I think a lot of people at the press conference today, in some of the reporters' minds, and this was not the time or place to ask it by any means, because this was Morgan's moment. This was all, about her and her family there and things like that. But I think there's going to be in the next couple of weeks some people asking, well, what was the transition? Why did they move on from Stacy? And what exactly happened there? It's not every day that a coach who was named Conference Coach of the Year, took your team to the NCAA tournament, gets let go, just kind of without any cause or reason being no. So I think over the next couple of weeks, there's going to be some people asking and wondering, well, what happened? What happened to that? Because Stacy over her 3 seasons there was progressing. I mean, she had a tough first season, second season improved, got a winning record, and then that third season, boom, you know, going to the NCAA tournament, albeit they lost in the opening round of that tournament, but conference coach of the year, and it's just kind of interesting. But yeah, not the time or place to distract from what, Morgan being named the head coach or anything like that. So
Yeah, it's kind of weird, Keaton. You watch YouTube, and which is a very reliable source. Um, I couldn't believe that Dan Hurley was fired, and
oh wow,
so I
no,
went to that right away. But apparently not true,
oh
and
yeah,
a lot of comments that it wasn't true.
no way, you don't say. Wow, guy that has won 2 national championships, went to another one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna let that guy go.
But I
So,
think to have Morgan on in the future, which I sure we will.
oh yeah,
I think even beside what you mentioned, there's just so much to talk about with her, and things within her family and how her family's influence where she is right now.
I think you're gonna see, and you mentioned it, Brad, one of the more intense coaches on a volleyball sideline. Probably, perhaps one of the more animated coaches as well. And it was I think it was Josh Reed of the ADN asking her, well, what's your coaching philosophy? What's your coaching style going to be? No, and she says, I'm going to be a teacher. I want to teach the game. I want to teach student athletes, the game of volleyball. And I think when it comes to that competitive spirit and when the lights turn on that first opening match of the year, I think, not to say the teaching is going to get set aside a little bit, but the intensity and the kind of the moment's going to get to her, and it's going to be fun to watch. I think her on the sidelines, having the reins. So we'll see how that kind of goes.
Well, one more thing in terms of volleyball, and again, you've been in the front row for this, and just in terms of crowd interest and people showing up, and this has been just growing and growing over the last few years. And I think with Morgan as the head coach, with more and more local talent, um, I think we're going to continue to see that trend increase. And with, I guess the Alaska Airlines Arena, which of course gets great play during high school state tournaments. The volleyball team's really been a part of just increased interest all the time.
I think volleyball here in the state of Alaska is in really good hands. I mean, with what UAF is doing over this past year, what's been happening at UAA, I think it provides a lot of good openings. I mean, in terms of keeping high school athletes here in the state, whether that's going to UAF or going to UAA to play high school or college volleyball. I don't think there's been a better period of time for college volleyball here in the state of Alaska than what's been happening over the last, 10 plus years, probably. So,
Yeah. Crazy following in high school, good following at UAA. It's probably just as complete. And one thing I was told by a coach, I'm trying to keep his name out of it, not for any reason. I don't want to give him any pub for his financial business, but but his kids are involved in both basketball and volleyball, and his like the UAA teams and the teams that go outside. He's just been incredibly impressed with how volleyball, it's all, kind of cut and dried, how they do it, how organized they are. And I think, all of it leads up to what you just talked about, the just volleyball being in good hands.
yeah, so it's going to be interesting off season to watch because before we know it, we're going to hit the middle of August, end of August, and boom, the regular season for volleyball is going to start. So the volleyball schedule will probably come out sometime around, my guess is probably the end of June or so. That'll be finalized in terms of what the UAA volleyball schedule is going to exactly look like. Remember last year they played uh, the most home games they've ever played in their program history was 16. So I don't know if they're going to get that many this year, but we'll see
Probably not that
how
many.
many volleyball games they get on their schedule. So congratulations to Morgan Ho. We look forward to potentially having her on the podcast here in the near future to talk about her becoming the head coach and kind of get some insight with her as well. Kind of sticking with UAA, obviously the next biggest thing, there's been a lot of transition with the Seawolves within the athletic department, hiring a new men's basketball head coach, Cameron Turner, Matt Toon in his first year, getting ready to go into his second year, now a new volleyball head coach, looking for a new head hockey coach, still have to finalize the process for hiring of an athletic director. I think that is the next biggest one in terms of the checklist, I guess, if you're going through the checklist of who's going to be hired next. From what I have heard, UAA is expected to potentially hire somebody by the end of April for the athletic director position. We'll see if indeed that does come to fruition. Just in public online, what do I want to call it? Forums and websites, the position closes, I think, like the 22nd. So, and I think they were trying to have somebody hired by the 27th, 28th, 29th, somewhere in that time frame. So we'll see. Have you heard anything, Brad? Any insight? Anything like
You
that?
know, I always like to say I have, but I just think it's kind of the interesting philosophy. Like, I kind of, in my own mind, thought that maybe that would be the spot filled first, and then a guy gets to bring in, or a gal gets to bring in their own people. But I think the quality of the hires with Cameron Turner and with Morgan Hall, I just think an AD who comes in is coming in. There's some quality people. Coach Toon, you mentioned as well. So even though it might have, seemed like it might have gone another way, I think that the way it's going just sort of feels right.
Yeah.
And we've mentioned her name a few times, but Tanya Pont, I mean, you start looking at interim athletic directors. She's just really done an amazing job, and just everything she's done has been for the benefit of UAA, and she's pretty busy with kids and a lot of things going on in her life, but she's done a great job in that position.
No, she has. She's made it, I'm not saying seamless by any means, because I mean, this has been all kinds of chaotic or anything other than seamless. And I'm sure she'd be the first to kind of say that, but she is kind of smoothed out the bumps as best as possible here, as things really do transition within the athletic department. So Tanya Pont definitely has been a huge driving force for that. So Sewell's still looking for now a men's hockey coach and now trying to finalize the AD. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that as well. Well, high school basketball kind of concluded last week,
Mhm.
guys, with the All-Star game. And I know, Isaiah, you had a chance to see some of it. Brad, did you get a chance to see any of the All-Star game at all?
Well, we were over there, and we Isaiah was part of the um, streaming, and then
Yeah.
we got some interviews on the other side with 7 or 8 of the coaches involved. We grabbed JD Lincoln, who was assistant coach for South, and whose dad Butch was being inducted into the AABC Hall of Fame. Some of the others there, Brad Olson. I mean, it was really an
Who's who?
amazing
Yeah.
group. So, but the flip side of that, Keaton, is when you're doing interviews, and Isaiah was talking to some of the key folks, you're not exactly keeping score, or
Mm-mm.
not
No,
that not
not
that everybody remembers the score, but
You t
not
you
for
telling
an
me nobody
all-star
cares
game.
about the score in All-Star games? Like, come
Yeah,
on.
it's not the all-star game.
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm I'm through with the NBA All Star game when Isaiah Thomas threw that 3/4 court bounce pass over Artis Gilmore's head, or whatever. I mean, it became like a free for all. But one thing Isaiah and I talked about, and I guess we visited with our guests about it too, is how the high school All Star game, which was starting to show shades of that NBA mentality of show off, how far can you shoot the 3-pointer,
hmm
how much you can work individually. But this was much more impressive as a game. They added defense to the game.
Oh, they
People
did.
took assists. Um, they'd run a pick and roll. They'd run a give and go. So the basketball was um, much more entertaining to watch, I think, as people could kind of show their fundamentals. And there were kids that really hadn't played with each other. They didn't even have a practice prior to playing the game. So all those things combined to make it even more impressive.
Yeah, it was a fun event. We mentioned it on the stream a few times that it's just nice. It's a good celebration of basketball in the state. You come off the state tournament, there's pressure. Not all the teams are there. Not all the best players are always there because they're not every team's going to be making the state tournament. So it was nice to see some of those players. The kid from Northway, I can't remember his name now. He, I've never seen 2 and 1s on 3-pointers. I mean, that was crazy. That was the only game that kind of got the 1A 2A boys game. I think it ended up about a 30-point margin or something. That was the only one that was a kind of a blowout with the between the blue and the gold teams.
Yeah.
So it's just a fun event, the exposure camps and other things. And we spoke with, Brad mentioned it. We spoke with, Jason Berger from Grace Christian, the vice president, Eric Stockhausen from Ketchikan, the president, Craig Perez, the treasurer, and all this stuff. So it was a lot of fun. It was just fun to be there and be a part of it and talk to a bunch of different people along the way.
Yeah, we had a good talk with Franco Stanek, and that was a lot of stuff to talk about with him because he helped establish that game. He has a really close relationship with all the coaches involved with that, and he had just had a lot of stuff to share, including as well as his program that's doing so well up at Alaska Fairbanks. So I don't know, Isaiah, when we get a chance, but we'll share some of those interviews apart from the podcast, and I think people might enjoy some of the people that we talk to. And, Keaton, I'm going to give you some information. You might want to jot this down. We don't have
Get my pen
scores.
ready.
You got to give the coaches and the committee the credit, because in years past, I mean, can you imagine trying to pick teams from villages all over the state and just repping and how you would balance those teams, even at the 3A, 4A level where you maybe know the players a lot. So I know in the past there's been, 30, 40 point games, and it hasn't been the exception, but to have 3 really competitive games and only one get away from them, that's says a lot about how they put that together. People canceling at the last minute, people going to prom as if prom's more important than an all-star game. But, some of the
Depending on who you
highlights.
ask, yeah. I mean,
yeah, depending on who you ask.
Oh, yeah,
So
but
I'll throw out some names for you, just some of the highlights, and we should go to the 3-point contest because obviously that's the most important contest. But Keely Kronberger from Mountain City won the 3-point contest, and she averaged about 35 on the year. She scored 45 the first game of the state tournament, so no shock that she would win the 3-point contest. And then for the guys, it was Royce Borst, and he's from Skagway, so representing outside of the big cities, where I'm not sure if you're allowed to shoot a layup at some of those type.
I don't think you are. I think that's not allowed.
And then I think Keaton, I think you've seen Isaac Smith play, right? He's Unicleats.
Unicleat, yeah.
He can play inside, he can play outside. So picture this: there's a free throw contest, and there's 3 guys, and they just never miss.
They're not missing.
When you miss, you go out. But
right.
Nobody's missing. And, we're running into warm-up time, next game time. And finally, they made him spin in a circle and shoot, and spin in a circle and shoot. And finally, they made him shoot the other way, facing backward. And one high up the backboard, one rolls off the rim. But Isaac Smith, he just couldn't miss. There wasn't anything
buries it.
to do. So
Consistent. I mean, hey, everybody needs that guy. I mean,
yeah, he's pretty amazing. What a way to cap things off. Then the dunk contest, and I don't know. You watch a lot of dunk contests over the years. You start thinking, well, what else can they do? They're going to jump over 15 guys, or they're going to jump on a semi truck. I mean, at one point in time, the dunk's going to become just what else is left. But a couple of impressive dunks. Ashton Clarkson from Gray.
I saw that. Yeah.
Did you see that?
I didn't know he could jump that high.
Well, you know what? Jason Berger, when he was in an interview with us, he said, I'm picking Ashton. And I thought, really? And then he goes up there. Now he did.
Yeah. Let's be honest. Let's be honest on that dunk.
Well, why should we start now, Isaiah?
I mean, come on.
Why should we start being honest now?
I like seeing the little guys do some things, but I mean, come on.
Well, I got a little lift off the shoulders.
Yeah.
A little lift, man. I could see his arms flexing when he's launching himself off of Bristol's shoulders.
Isaiah, you're a big man.
Come on.
You favor the big man.
I do. No doubt.
Just be honest about it.
I do.
But everybody was falling out. The judges were giving him an 11.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. But I think the best dunker in the state probably won. And that's Emilio Ambrosio. And if you got a chance to see him play, lob dunks, breakaway dunks in traffic. So it seemed only fitting that on his last day in a high school event that he would win the dunk contest.
That Austin kid from Sioux Valley, if he would have hit that last
Yes.
dunk of his, whew, man, oh man, that was impressive for a high school kid. He was so close to hitting that too, so close.
He can jump, and I think in talking to again the organizers, they had that same discussion about the dunk and how relative it was, you know, as time goes on. But I think the list of good dunkers on this list just
Yeah,
made it kind of mandatory that that's an event that needed to take place.
Yeah, Austin Bernard is who you're thinking of there
yep, Austin Bernard.
for Sioux Valley. Yeah, that guy can jump out of the gym. Uh,
I
that's for
told the
sure.
story. I told the story on the stream real quick before we wrap things. I told the story on the stream that when I was running the state tournament, we had people emailing, and I had a few texts too. Why don't we have a dunk competition instead of some of these other competitions that are here during the beginning of state? I'm like, yeah, okay. Why don't you go tell the coaches that we're going to pick out some of your best dunkers and they're going to go in a dunk competition right before the state tournament? You're going to go tell them that, not
Right.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I'll
it's a great
pass.
idea.
I'll
Yeah.
pass on that one.
Yeah. Hey, why aren't you playing in the state tournament? I blew out my knee doing the
Yeah, I
dunk
twisted my
contest.
ankle after this. I
Yeah.
tried to do a 360 dunk and
Yeah.
kind of landed wrong.
I
Yeah, I
tried to pull a Michael Jordan leave from the free throw line and yeah, came up a little short there.
yeah, no, no,
Isaiah,
no, no, that's no good. I won't. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Isaiah, you might remember when we were coaching a few games, and the other team, virtually everything was a dunk, and there was a certain amount of fear involved, but it kind of put you at ease too that they put so much effort in their pregame, and
Oh yeah.
they weren't quite as explosive when the game actually started.
Well, they weren't quite as springy after a whole warm up of 15 minutes dunking.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh bummer.
Fun times. Well, always a fun event to kind of end the high school basketball season with. It's a huge event to organize, as you mentioned, Brad. A lot of work goes into it in a very short period of time. You're trying to get everything kind of finalized within a week and a half, 2 week time frame after state championships wrap up and things of that nature. So, shout out to everybody that had a hand involved in that and organizing and putting it together. It was a fun time at Diamond to watch some of those, you know, the dunks, the shooting, all that kind of stuff from the girls and the guys to wrap up the high school basketball season. Speaking of high school sports, obviously we're in the throes of spring sports, track and field going on. Softball and baseball just getting started. Had some games down in the southeast, down in Ketchikan, to get the season started. I think Ketchikan, Chugiak, I want to say West Valley, Soldotna, all down there on the southeast, I think, getting the regular season started. So, Brad, I know that you're a former umpire. Maybe you still umpire sometimes, here and there. You wanted to give a shout out to the umps?
Well, I did want to give a shout out to the umps and just kind of show the uniform, wear the uniform. And, our union is trying to get it to have it be at least 30 degrees for us to
Oh,
do a game. The glasses could be part of the uniform, and they could be a reason that one day you'll see me disqualified from umpiring. There, there is the mandatory long johns this time of year, and I didn't bring it out, but you have that heat vest that you wear when you go hunting. Let's say if I in fact were to go hunting. But East West scheduled for tonight. I don't even know if they played it. Snow on Sunday. It's kind of obligatory that you have a big snowfall right before that first game. But there's been a lot of prep and sun. It's getting warmer. It hit what? I think it hit 41 the other day.
yeah, it
So
did. It did. I mean,
baseball's a coming. Track's heading outside. A lot of
Yeah.
good things.
yeah, I don't know what the turf looks like after it got cleaned off over at Bartlett. I know it was cleared, but after this recent snow, I don't know if it affected anything or anything of that nature. But uh, yeah, I mean, baseball is going to be outside here hopefully in the next I don't know, 3 weeks, fingers crossed. I don't know what Mulcahy looks like in terms of trying to play games there, but
It's always a
uh,
while there, and I think it's a while for softball as well. Like
yeah,
brick fields over there, it's going to take a while before the ducks go away that are paddling around out there in the deep water.
right.
But I know Steve Nerlin and Van Williams does the schedule for American Legion baseball because he's not very busy.
Yeah.
But
Nah, not Van. No, not busy at all.
so just a lot of you know juggling with the many balls in the air. But um, looking forward to seeing some good baseball. I think service of defending champs. Um, South is always right up there toward the top. In terms of people around the state, I think Diamond um, went down to Sitka to play. South going to Kodiak, so it's kind of nice to have those warmer weather spots.
Hmm.
So I remember shoveling the field in Kodiak just a couple of years ago. So thanks to the umpire, thanks to people like Donnie Winchester, Willie Paul, Steve Nerlin, Van Williams, people that have kind of raised the level of baseball. And one sign of that is um, there's 22 games allowed in most, like for example, in basketball. And in baseball, with the weather and this and that, and then the early season, somehow they're getting 20 games. Some teams are getting as many as 20 games in, and that's that's you know I can't do no more. I mean that's
No.
really amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah, it is. I mean, to get it in that short time frame, it's just, yeah. I mean, because before you know it, the end of May, and you got state championships. It's like, well, here you
Yep.
go.
Well, I'll
So
tell
Goes
you what's
quick.
tough when Donnie Winchester shows up and he says there will be no rain out.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it takes a lot to get a rain out. I mean,
Yeah,
it's going to take, you know, a monsoon. I feel like at times to get a rain out. But
yeah.
anyway, so
Donnie's dressed up like a fisherman on a boat bouncing around on a rainy
yeah.
day. So he doesn't care as much about the rain as I do.
No, no, he doesn't. Yeah, he's not playing in it. I mean,
Oh,
I mean,
it's true. Yeah.
anyway. Well, so baseball, softball season are here. We'll keep an eye on that as the regular season goes along. We'll have more on the spring sports, soccer as well, as those sports are in full swing. Brad, anything before we sign her off here tonight?
Well, track was going in the dome this past weekend, but they'll be moving outside. And almost an impossible task to keep everybody up on everything that's going on. But I think we did a pretty good job tonight. So,
Yeah.
hey, and I did want to say I do have my banner in the garage, but instead, I have a lot of volleyball trophies and pennants behind me. But I'm going to dig around the garage. I'm going to find my banner that you guys have up, and I'll hope to have that up next week.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
Let us know if you need help with that. Uh,
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm kind of the tech guy.
Yeah, you're
You're
the
the
tech
tech
guy.
guy. Yeah,
I'm
you're the
not
tech guy. Yeah.
not
Uh,
into rebuilding the house, but
oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
tech's kind of. I need to stay in my lane. Let's just put it that way.
All right. All right. Good stuff. Isaiah, anything else before we sign this one off?
No. Go
All right.
Wolverines.
Go Wolverines. Yeah.
Go Wolverines.
Playoffs start this week. Be down in Minnesota. Follow
Yeah.
AnchorageWolverines.com as they go on the road to start against the Minnesota Wilderness. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. Be sure you like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating.
Yep.
That'd be
5-star.
great. 5 stars. 5-star rating. Be great. That person that gave us a 1-star rating, we have banned you from listening. So,
Yep.
anyway, I'm kidding. We can't do that. I don't have that authority.
No, we
We need all the
don't.
listeners. We need all the listeners we can get.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's all good. For Brad Lowers, Isaiah Vrabin, myself, Keaton Homer. Until next week, we'll see you out there on the fields.